Mr. Moore?
Here.
Mrs. Rich? Here. Mrs. Gallagher?
Here.
Mr. Kraftcheck? Mr. Parzak?
Here.
Mr. Levens?
The meeting is now open. Adequate notice of the meeting was provided by posting a copy of the time and place on the municipal clerk's bulletin board and mailing a copy of same to the press and the Cape May County Herald on January 4th, 2019. Will everyone please rise to salute the flag? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, we'll get started with today's work session with Administration and Finance.
Okay. We'll start off with the engineer's report.
Okay, thank you. On the capital project front, the 95th Street bathroom renovation is finally completed. The contractor is currently finishing the punch list items, and we have a follow-up punch list inspection scheduled for this Friday. Similarly, the 82nd Street Tennis Court building is scheduled to actually be completed tomorrow. We're going to do our first punch list inspection this Friday as well.
Wow.
Lastly, the contractor for the 2018 Utility and Road Program continues to make good progress. Here is a street-by-street update. 122nd Street, all work is completed with the exception of final paving. 118th Street, all of the storm sewer installation has been completed, that was the total scope of it. There's no reconstruction component at this point. 110th Street and 108th Street, all utility work completed, and they've started the concrete work. 106th Street, concrete work has started. 102nd Street, utility work started. 92nd Street, water main installation is complete. And 88th Street and Chelsea Place is concrete work has started. So there's multiple crews in town, and they're working very hard. That is my report.
Any questions for Mark?
Okay, next up, tax collector.
Hello. So my big news is my percentage of collection. For 2018, it was 99.46. It's never been that high in a 25-year history. And for the last 4 years, it's been in a 99 percentile. So I'm quite proud of that.
Excellent.
That's phenomenal.
Thank you.
Yeah, very good.
Thank you. And on other news, when I stated my budget a couple months ago, I mentioned a company called PayArgo. This company automates posting for online bill payments. I began working with them last week. We discovered 707 records. So that means 707 checks come into the tax and utility office with no stub, no utility bill, sometimes just saying payment. So we're working on that. We're working on what's called scrub files. We go through these 707 records and we devise a file format for all the blocks and lots and all the account numbers, so it helps the spreadsheet go through the file better. And we hope to be live with that by April. So that's very exciting too. Tax delinquencies were mailed out last week, and I also sent 24 courtesy letters to the 2018 open balances that are subject to tax sale. So that's really good too. Only 24 letters is phenomenal. When I started as a tax collector, I probably sent out about 150. So that's really good. I got an email from the state today regarding the homestead benefits, and they expect that to be on the May file. And as far as utilities go, I'd just like to report that this time last year we had 51 emergency turnoffs, and this year we only have 16. That's a big difference. Okay. Anybody have any questions?
Okay.
Thank you, Debbie.
Thank you.
Okay, next up, tax assessor. There you are, hiding back there.
Good afternoon. Notice I don't have anything in my hands because I don't have much to report. What shall I say? The volume of deeds has decreased since, I guess last time I reported on deeds was maybe November. So we've seen a decrease in that, maybe 5 usable sales a month. I only have 4 tax appeals so far, so that's really good. I'm hoping to end with less than 30. So, and basically that's it. It's just your normal, dollar deeds, address changes, questions about tax appeals. That's what I've been doing with my time. Any questions? Thank you so much, and have a nice afternoon.
Okay, construction and zoning.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
The building permits were, let's see, for 2019, there were 5 more than last year, same time last year. We had the same amount of electrical, 1 more plumbing. Fire was approximately 6 more, and the DCA permits, we had 7 more. Zoning permits were exactly the same for the same period as last year, 17. The one thing that does concern me a little bit is this transfer of sales were way down from the same time last year. We had 17 certificates of title transfer a year ago for January and February, and this year we've only had 8. I talking to the agents when I'm out there, they said the inventory is really low right now. So I don't know if that will transpire to construction permits for this time next year. We'll see where that goes. But that's it for that report. I'd like to praise the police department for the dumpster patrolling on the streets. It is awesome. We are getting a lot of results. They're out there hitting them, and we're getting the contractors in line before the season starts this year with that stuff. And kudos to the police department more so than construction, because they're really on it. The yacht club, we did rough inspections today and tomorrow. They'll be sheet rocking this weekend, starting their sheet rock. 99th and 3rd Street is progress there, 3rd Avenue. They've sheet rocked there, and they're moving ahead there. The 93rd Street property, I am communicating with the owner there, and he's coming in our office tomorrow. We sent out letters, and we're hoping to get some positive results on that property. And
What's that about, right?
the house across the street from the school, where there's,
Oh, okay,
so-
okay.
yeah. Okay, it's hopefully looking good after. And then the last thing I have is Buckets is planning to do a 2nd floor renovation where they're going to remove the offices and hopefully do a 2nd floor of restaurant there, and that'll be going before the planning board soon. Any questions?
Were you able to move that hearing to April 8th?
Yes.
Well, that would come from me, so yes.
Okay,
We will be able to do that.
Okay.
Well, I'll contact it may not be April 8th, maybe the 2nd, April 22nd, I believe.
Okay.
I don't know when the attorney can
okay,
set it up.
okay.
I have a question. It's a work session, right?
Yep.
We had, over the past several months, we've had a couple residents in here who asked about the storage containers that are sitting around town. I think on 96th Street, there's a few, and there's a 40-footer across the street from Uncle Bill's on 96th Street, sitting there along the bay. And I know we said we were going to look into that and see what, so are they allowed to be sitting around like that, or?
They are on construction sites, we do have an ordinance that allows them for construction during the time of construction, and the one across the street on 96th Street is the Reeds that are doing the construction. However, the Reeds also purchased, or I don't know if they just purchased it, but they're renovating the storage above the 3 units on 96th Street where the Hello Kitty is, and they're moving all of that storage for the Reeds, all of their tables and chairs and all that, and their housewares are supposed to be going above there as soon as they get the attic right next to the 2nd floor golf course. They're redoing.
Okay, so these shipping containers are going to be disappearing.
The ones in that parking
Hopefully in
lot,
the
yes.
not-too-distant future.
Yes, they
And
are.
and that's the same with the ones on 96th 97th Street, yeah, in the parking lot?
Yes.
Same
Yes.
thing?
Yes. Yep. Well,
Okay.
that one's the construction details over in the parking lot, some of it. But yes, they are supposed to get rid of those.
Okay, I
as
was
soon
just
as-
wondering where, where we were with that, that's all. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Anything else for construction or zoning? Okay,
Thank you.
thank you, Ray. Okay, next up, Borough Clerk.
You're next.
I'm skipping him on purpose.
Oh, okay. The Borough Clerk's office, for the month, we had 6 boat slips, $9,000, 6 boat trailers, $900, 17 trailer or sailcraft permits were issued, $4,250. We had 10 certified copies for $100, 2 open requests, $17.45, 2 marriage licenses, $56, and 1 dog license, $4.20. Total for the month was $14,327.65. Also, the kayak permits applications are coming in steady. They can come in anytime during the month of March. And on April 11th, there'll be a lottery to pick 96 spaces for the kayaks.
Good, thank you. Okay, Planning Board report? Anything?
Planning Board, we met on February 11th. Our next meeting is scheduled for March 11th. On February 11th, we swore in a new alternate to replace Mia Donnell, and it's Jacqueline Morrow, who we swore in. There was, and I'm going to ask Josie, if the next meeting of the subcommittee was scheduled for February 20th. Did that get scheduled and go off? I'm not sure. Okay. Okay, I'm not.
It did not go off in February, no.
Okay, okay, because at the
Being
time of the
rescheduled.
February 11th, they were going to
Sorry.
try to get together on February 20th.
Didn't happen.
Okay, okay, so I imagine something's going to be scheduled for March, I would hope. The planning board is supposed to be seeing the first draft of the new master plan on our next meeting, which is March 11th. What else did we do? We discussed basically the things to do with the master plan, such as when do we reveal it to the public, public hearings, so on and so forth. So in April, we're hoping we have that final draft to introduce to the public and to full council. Full council will get a copy of it before it goes out, gets distributed to the public. We talked about the 3-hour parking, should we extend it to 4, so on and so forth, and said that belonged in the subcommittee to be discussed there. We talked a little bit about the Eastport, Long Island, where they buried the poles in that neighborhood.
Oh, I
You know, how that article kind of made the rounds, and we have Paul Cates trying to see if there's any kind of comparison between what is happening there and what could happen here, cost-wise and so on and so forth, and he's going to get us more information on that. Otherwise, that was the extent of planning board. Any questions?
Okay, going
Okay.
back to CFO, I'm going to preempt Jim on this one. As you're aware, we have the budget scheduled for introduction tonight, so I just wanted to do a brief overview for everyone. The main presentation will be at our April 2nd council meeting, where we'll go into more details, show some of the charts that show the breakdown and everything, but I just wanted to, like I said, give a brief overview of everything. First, I want to thank council and all the department heads again for their hard work in putting the budget together. Because of all of these efforts, the actual tax rate will only go up slightly by 0.5 cent. The budget document that you will be introducing tonight was able to increase its appropriation based on the budget cap law to $11,405,950.76, but our actual appropriations are $10,812,131, creating a cap bank moving into next year of $593,819.75. Under the levy cap law, we were permitted to have an amount to be raised by taxation of $13,109,097.80, but we are anticipating the amount to be raised at $12,130,000, and that means we're under the levy cap by $979,097.80. Under the summary of revenues, our biggest change is under Section F, which was the public and private revenues. Last year included was $175,000 from Atlantic Electric and $185,000 from the Department of Transportation for the 95th Street Road project. There's an overall reduction in anticipated revenues of $160,000, $324,000, and we're anticipating $12,130,000 in local taxes, which results, as I said, in a half a cent increase, and this increase is $280,000. Under capital improvements, there's an increase in the appropriations here of $233,568. We continue to build our cash reserve for the Back Bay dredging and beach replenishment. We have appropriated $100,000 additional in 2019. We also continue our policy of paying cash for equipment instead of bonding, and this will save the borough over time in our debt service interest. Under general appropriations, overall increase of $119,675.70. So with a reduction in our general revenue of $160,324 and an increase in general appropriations of $119,676, this is where you see the result in the need to increase our amount to be raised by taxation by $280,000. Under the water and sewer, we had an overall increase in operations of $208,419. There was an increase in debt service of $128,982, $50,567 for payment of unbonded debt, and an increase of $28,870 for the operating expenses. As I said, we'll have a more in-depth presentation on April 2nd, and at this time, if Jim has anything additional. Nope. And that's it for finance. And
Questions?
the budget, the budget is online already, so if anyone wants to, the public can look at that now.
One question, once we get done this tennis building, are we going to be being reimbursed from the county for open space money that we've been waiting forever for? Okay,
Yes.
okay,
Yes.
okay. All right, good, okay. Anything else?
That's it under A&F.
Can't find the play. Okay, so that ends A&F. Okay, moving on to Public Works.
Good afternoon.
Hi, Grant.
Did you read your reports? Any questions? None?
Nope.
Okay. Just have some highlights of things that are being done right now that are not on there. The beaches and streets are working on crossovers, removing the old fencing, widening the paths, the walking paths, surfaces, and renovating those. All but one of the steel gates that were requested by the police department have been installed, except for 102nd Street. That'll be done in conjunction with the road program that's going on down there now. We can't set that gate until the road is ready to be paved. So we're going to work with them to set the gates, because they're going to be redoing the ramp that goes over the bulkhead at the same time. New street signs are going up. I'm not sure if anybody noticed, but the old Tomcats are coming down, and new street signs are going up as weather permits. We did order the bike path signs that were asked, so it's going to say bikes only on the bike paths. We were able to fit that into our budget without having to wait until April to pass the new budget. Bulk trash, excuse me, bulk trash is March 18th, for those who need to put anything out at the curb. Nothing is to be put out until Friday, the weekend, that Friday before March 18th, which is 72 hours prior. If anybody that has any questions, they can review the website on our bulk trash, what we do take and what we do not take. And they can also call the Borough Public Works if they have any other questions. The grounds department has helped out with the renovations of the beach paths. They've cleared a lot of the brush that was overhanging onto the post and rail fences. They're working to get the bird sanctuary ready for the season. They mowed the interior of the fence as much as they possibly could without falling into any of the ditches. Right now, I don't know if anybody noticed, but they're starting to turn the beds over on 2nd Avenue, started at 80th Street, so spring is coming. And the new water and sewer inspection camera system is just about up and running. Have a little bit more training to do with the guys on how to operate it, and that should be up and running by April, which is a good thing. So now we can camera any and all of our sewers and our storm drains for any issues we may have, which Mark is very happy. Look at the smile on his face. So that's what I got. Any questions? Good?
Recycling question.
Sure.
When Reese and I went to a seminar on Saturday, and we were sitting with some elected officials from City of Cape May, and they're looking at some answers to recycling there in their city, and they're just talking about the cost of things going up with recycling and so on and so forth, and they're looking for a shared services type situation for some municipality. So in conversation, their council person said to me, well, you are too far away for us to even consider. So I said, well, is there any merit to sharing equipment? That would be a way of having a shared services agreement, but yet it's not a matter of sharing personnel, perhaps equipment. So as everything moves forward with recycling seems to be such a struggle right now for every municipality, and the cost is just going up. Do you see anything worthwhile in, possible shared services with another town or something like that with the City of Cape May, or anything, just repeating the conversation that I had?
I guess it would all depend on what are they asking for. Are they asking for collection? Are they asking for
I think collection and dumping, but I'm not 100% sure. It was just a conversation that was being had where it's like I just know that everybody's struggling, and they either went out to bid, they did an RFP, an RFQ, and the amount of money that coming back was eye-opening to them. They were astounded. So maybe it's something to think about, that if there is a way of everybody's costs are going up, for a way for everybody's costs to come down.
Yeah, the recycling business is in chaos right now because of tariffs and the type of materials that they're taking overseas. They're not accepting. They're also talking about going back to separation, which is
Going back to what was before single stream, just,
correct, because no one wants the contaminated cardboard. We're having issues with plastics. Glass, no one wants the glass anymore. They're using it to cap the landfills. So it's in chaos right now when it comes to recycling and selling the products.
right. So if there's nowhere for it to go, it just goes to the landfill and gets dumped.
Which is driving the costs up.
Okay.
And then all your private contractors are turning that cost to them over to the municipalities.
Right. So if maybe there's some way we can make something cost-effective through a shared services agreement, maybe even if it's just with equipment. I'm not familiar with exactly what equipment we have or what is necessary, but I thought if it just got mentioned here and, council was aware that there's other towns out there, everybody's struggling.
Yes, yes.
So something to think about.
Yeah,
Well, have
we
you
can
ever-
certainly look into
We
it.
can start talking about it in Public Works.
Would it make sense to go to help Stone Harbor and Avalon join together?
That would be more cost-effective for us. The travel, the amount of equipment that we have in-house, manpower, all depends on how they want to work out those issues.
Avalon puts theirs out to bid, don't they?
Yeah, they do.
Yeah.
Yeah, they have a bid, yeah.
Well,
Where,
I'm
because
not-
I was saying it doesn't necessarily mean personnel, but if we've got some piece of equipment that perhaps is available on a Tuesday and a Thursday or something to that effect, I mean, it might be some way of alleviating our costs while they can get something done somehow
Wintertime. would be-
in-house.
This time of year would be one time that we can help them, right? Once we get into the summer season, we're collecting 6 days a week.
Right. So even if there were just something, throw it out there, if there's a way of, maybe there's something we can do for a couple months that can offset some costs somehow, or just, just want to repeat the conversation.
Okay.
Well,
Talk about it.
just for my own benefit, do you guys have any kind of forum, like once a quarter or twice a year, all the public works directors in the county sit down and talk things over?
We have
I
a
mean,
Public Works Association,
oh, okay.
and I'm the president of it.
And that's a
So-
paying job.
Yes, we do, we do. We do have quite a lot of conversation. So, yes, I can be speaking to them at our next meeting,
Okay, good.
coming up next month. Okay?
Anything else for Grant?
Stay. The next thing we wanted to discuss, let's get back up there, is our municipal parking lot here, what we want to do with it. We did remove the meters when we were repaving. We have to decide whether or not putting meters back, doing a kiosk. It was thrown out, the possibility of just making it a municipal lot, or possibility of employee lot during the day, open it up as a metered lot in the evening. I did ask Jim to kind of give us an estimate on the revenue. It's a little difficult to give us an exact figure because it was with the meters versus the kiosk. We get a little bit more accurate information off of a kiosk, but the estimate was running around 8,000 during the day and 8,000 at night estimate. We do have less spaces available now than we did prior. I believe we lost 2 or 3 spaces.
I believe we lost more than that.
Okay, well, so we wanted to bring it here, get everybody's thoughts on it. The one question was, did we already budget for the kiosks for there, or is that,
We budget for kiosk machines because they only last a certain amount of years, and then they become obsolete, so we have to replace them. Yes, we did budget for a kiosk machine in this lot, but in my opinion, with the collections that I've seen over the years and talking to the guys that do the collections, it's not beneficial for us to put an $11,000 machine in there with a $400 to $600 maintenance fee, plus the actual purchase of any kind of software that we have to put into the machine and constantly update. Plus we also have to have a modem in there for cell service. So there's costs that, in my opinion, it's not going to be efficient for us to do so. I would leave it as a free lot in the evenings, and then have it just for employees, because you can see the lot right now. It's full every day. And then you have the firefighters that on Thursday night say we have their drill night. There's no place for them to park, especially during the season. They're gonna need someplace to go for permit parking.
So your recommendation is the entire lot be
I would,
free lot?
I would
And it's
not-
not cost-effective to,
no, no. And even along, the 100 block of 96th Street and around the tennis courts onto 97th, those meters, we get very little, if any, revenue out of those.
what's everybody think?
I don't agree with that. I think you make it free, they will be parked 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Anyone. I mean, I don't think that's, I understand the expense,
Right.
but I just thought that we would keep it exactly the way it is, so that at
I would
nighttime-
think too that it might start, it'll fill up
Yeah.
with business owners and business employees
Sure.
and less access to the,
That's basically what it is now. It's our employees, it's,
Well.
from this building, it's the.
with their permits, correct?
firefighters,
Correct.
Yes, permit.
Well, are we committed to kiosk only? Can't we, if we have 10 remaining spaces, and that's just a hypothetical number, if we have 10 remaining spaces, can't we just put meters there?
I'll do whatever you want.
Well, I wouldn't want
If you want
to,
to
I wouldn't
reinstall
want
the
to incur
meters,
the
we can reinstall
expense.
meters.
I wouldn't want to incur the expense of a kiosk and its maintenance for a minimal number of spaces.
Right.
You know, I think
Yep.
for that, we could go back to the 20th century and do it that way.
Yeah, and after 5 o'clock, that parking lot is still full. Weekends, it is full. Nighttime, I mean, it's used when everybody leaves here. It's not like it's not
Yeah, I
full,
agree.
whether they're putting money in the meter or not. You know, I would believe that,
I was anticipating it to go back exactly the way it was.
me too.
You do get a lot of permit
Yes,
parking.
meters
During-
with,
during the
with
day.
different personnel
Yeah.
having their parking permits, but otherwise it would be status quo.
Pardon?
Day and night, you get permit parking. People that have businesses on 96th Street and the
Not-
200 block
Not in
park
this
there.
one.
Yes, they do.
Do we? No, they can't park with a permit here, according to, that's one of the goals, isn't it?
I don't know if they can or not. Is that's not, no, okay, so so actually, they shouldn't be there, and they should be getting some sort of a warning first, and then moving those vehicles, so perhaps we should be enforcing it
Why the revenue might not
a
be
little
what
better.
it is.
Correct.
I would not make that free or open to,
I think it'll really restrict the parking opportunities for patrons of the business district if it goes free, because I think it'll be filled with,
yeah.
the same way that 94th and 2nd is filled with employees and shop owners and so on and so forth.
Yeah, that's why the other idea was thrown out, where it would be borrow employees during the day, since we pretty much fill it up anyway. And then in the evening, have it be where someone has to, the meters come on, and whoever comes in has to pay. That's
How,
an option.
how do you stop somebody that that gets in there that's not a permit employee? You give them a ticket?
Yeah, if they don't have, if they don't have the,
That's what the class 1 officers are
Yeah.
Go back to what it was.
paid to do.
I don't think that was broken before, and I understand the expense, and I do understand.
But we have the meters.
Well,
just
if we have the
divided
meters.
will they
poles and
fit,
yokes.
I was gonna say, will we be
Meters
able to
are
fit them
in-house.
in there with the compact area that we have? The new configuration?
You even have a pretty high concentration of condominiums here. If
Oh
it's
my
free
gosh.
parking,
Yeah.
homeowners will be there. I think that I think it'd be better used as a turnover for the business district, my opinion. I think status quo. How long before the kiosk pays for itself?
We could see what it come, if we can put it, we put it in, we can see after the first year and what we get in revenue, and then make the decision whether we want to keep it there.
Every day, that'd be a lot of money. 8,000 in a day, 8,000 in a
Well, something's wrong there. Something's wrong there. Somebody's not doing something.
Well, like I said, we can put the kiosks in and then see what happens for the season, and then make the decision from there, because I can always use the machine somewhere else when one breaks down. It's not like
I like that.
it's a lost, because it can be reprogrammed for wherever we put it.
I'm liking that. Everybody else?
Okay, I'll order it.
Okay.
Heads
looks
are
good.
nodding?
Yeah, enough heads are nodding, yeah.
Okay.
No.
Thank you, Grant.
Now we're going to talk about this.
Okay.
I think so.
Do we need Grant up here for utilities still?
I think he kind of did.
Oh.
Yeah, he kind of did his, and it was,
Okay,
he did both.
so we're done with both?
Yes.
Yeah, unless,
All right.
unless you have any questions?
Okay, all right. So moving on to one discussion item. I thought it was on here, but now I don't see it. And we had moved it, actually, it would be, oh, because it's in the Dropbox. I have it.
It was on.
Stand by.
It's back on.
It's to adopt a no-wake zone ordinance for the flooding issues when we have them in town. And I asked at the agenda meeting that we put it on discussion for today because there's talk of introducing it on March 19th. So this would give us time to look at the language, and if somebody's not comfortable with language, or if we need to change something, we could do that today, and then we can be ready for introduction on the 19th. So everyone should have a copy, as well as some comments made by our prosecutor. So I've asked the solicitor, too, to weigh in. Go ahead.
I mean, I think it's, I know Josie has some issues with some of the verbiage, but I think it's fine the way it's written. And, but the prosecutor's comments do stand, so I was under the impression that this is going to go back to our solicitor for a brush-up and refinement before we go any further with it. I mean, it's
Right.
pretty clear-cut, the way
Right.
it's written. It's the enforceability issue of it, so.
So we're kind of,
And really, it's the subjective depth assessment that's the potential
Right,
problem.
right.
So,
Can't you
but yes,
just,
we will look at it and see what we can do to refine it.
yeah, because instead of saying 6 inches, can't you just say flooded streets?
Yeah, someone had mentioned.
It doesn't matter whether it's a,
that North Wildwood had adopted something along these guidelines, but I spoke with Mayor Rosanella today, and he did not recall that. So we'll we'll look at it and do an analysis
Yeah.
with regard to,
I have a copy of North Wildwoods, and our ordinance,
he wasn't aware.
our ordinance is identical to theirs.
did they adopt it? Did it go through first, second, third, the whole shebang?
Yep,
Okay,
It's on there-
as
it's
ours
in their
stands
code.
now, right?
pardon me?
Yeah.
Yes.
I would like
As
to-
written is exactly what North
I would
Wildwood
like to
says.
take a look at tweaking that depth language to see if we can come up with something that may be a little bit more enforceable and would withstand scrutiny.
because if you look at this, the second part where it says prohibition, no person shall operate a motor vehicle on a flooded roadway. I would make that a period at the end of the sentence, instead of going into, I don't know anything about this, but I'm just saying, common sense, if the road's flooded, you don't go on it.
Right, but I guess the problem's going to be define flooded. Does flooded mean that the water is flat across the top, and you have to define what flooded means? I
Give that
think
to
that would make it difficult.
Want this to go to Mark?
Mark, that's North Wildwoods.
There you go. The one that doesn't exist.
That's the one from, that's North
What I
Wildwoods.
said was he didn't recall it.
No one,
Okay,
I downloaded that today.
so I will make recommendations to council prior to the next meeting
Mm-hmm.
with regard to potential
Any
language changes.
and I mean, storms, heavy rains, high tides, all the
I
kinds.
think we could be kind of specific on Third Avenue, but if we just say nobody can do that if the signs are up.
Well, that would be great.
Then it's easy. If the signs are up, then it's easy to say you made a wake, the signs were up. You
No
need,
driving.
Yeah, but suppose they don't
Well,
get any
stop.
signs up.
Yeah,
If our signs are up, they're not supposed to be going down the road,
well, they are.
because we block it.
but are they still?
Well, they have been known to go around them, yes.
But it just.
That's
sometimes
another,
flood
that's
without
another
signs up, too.
enforcement issue.
Not supposed to. The cops are supposed to get them up there.
I understand
Is
that.
that happening?
Just saying.
Okay. Yeah, it's going to be a tough one to get specific on, but I have faith in the solicitor.
We'll be fine.
So we'll look to have a copy to look at prior to the next meeting and hopefully be able to introduce it. Okay,
On the 19th.
yes. So we can have our first reading on the 19th. What else do I have? Anything? I do not have anything else for discussion. Does anybody else have anything they want to bring up? We can take this opportunity to go into closed session if nobody has anything else. At this time, we're about to consider a resolution to go into private session. We would appreciate if you would all remain seated until the resolution has been acted upon. At the conclusion of the private session, we will come back into public session for the purpose of either taking action as a result of our discussion in private session or to simply adjourn. It is also possible that someone might bring up some other item of business in public session after we have come back from private session. Resolution 2019 S52.
Mayor and council, I offer Resolution 2019-S-52 for adoption.
Second?
Clerk, call the roll.
Mr. Moore?
Yes.
Mrs. Rich?
Yes.
Mrs. Gallagher?
Yes.
Mr. Parzak?
Yes.
Mr. Levens?
Yes.